I'm BJ Steinburn. I'm a sports agent. I have a drinking problem. As a matter of fact, it's a massive drinking problem. Like drunk like a cheerleader on prom night. Right now, things suck. But I'm about to stumble upon something, and things are about to change.
I think I figured it out.
It's called $10 Arm. We find the first Major League softball player from a college party.
We can't train somebody who's only good when they're drunk. That's insane.
How do you expect me to throw it on target when there's no cup on the other end, man?
These kids, they're my last best shot. I just got you guys a tryout.
Are you joking with us?
I'm not joking with you.
Yeah!
Do you really think this is gonna work?
I sure hope so. Because the box score starts now.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer.
My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Howard Coward for box score.
Hello and welcome to the box score. I'm Brock here in sunny Los Angeles, and the Danettes are joining us from Milford, Connecticut. Some movie trailers you can just relate to more than others. It's Friday, gentlemen, a day which should be celebrated, but the boss was a little peeved to start the show today after hearing David Letterman call him a stooge during an interview with Adam Sandler. Paulie, let me ask you, did you have any reservations to show Dan the clip, fearing it might put him in a bad mood?
I had so few reservations. It's the very first thing I presented at the morning meeting.
You actually emailed those guys and told them not to spoil it for Dan, correct?
Yeah, in all seriousness, because I got a couple people on the Twitter last night who said, hey, did you watch Sandler on Letterman? Letterman jabbed Dan. And when I saw the video at home this morning, I was like, oh, this is layup drill. And I just wanted to make sure that someone didn't walk in and just go, hey, Dan, hear what's said about you, because then it kind of kills the whole bit. If you can keep it secret from him as long as you can, it kind of helps with his initial reaction.
Well, let's revisit the beginning of the show and see what DP wasn't happy about.
So, Sandler was talking about his movies. Then all of a sudden, my birthday candle blew out. Here's Dave and Adam Sandler.
In your movies, you run that stooge Dan Patrick in. He's in all. He loves you.
10 minutes later, Dave circled the wagons and then said this.
Love you, family. Now, when you see Dan Patrick, when I referred to him as a stooge, it was only a light-hearted reference.
He knows he's a stooge. Don't worry. He loves you.
Oh, so you meant it. Oh, Dave, thank you.
I know it may be strange coming from me, but I try to ease Dan's mind and try to put some type of positive spin on it that whether or not Letterman was taking a shot at him, it still is being mentioned on national TV on a show like The Late Show with David Letterman. It's a big deal, and if anybody looks bad, it's Dave taking a cheap shot at him. So I know if it happened to me, I'd probably be devastated through the summer. But he's strong. We all tease each other every day on the show, and I still think he should look at it as a positive.
Suffering from a lack of national TV exposure.
Yeah, you know what? I heard his name mentioned on a national TV show the other day. It was called the Dan Patrick Show.
But on Letterman,
I heard it on all the NBC stuff actually that he does too, and he's doing the Olympics and Football Night in America. That's funny.
It's still cool that Letterman mentioned his name, and if he thinks that he took a cheap shot at him, all I could say is that I didn't think it was that big a deal, and I think it was actually pretty cool.
Because it's a Letterman rate, they probably draw on 1 million compared to if the 20 million people on Football Night in America. If you didn't watch Football Night in America, they're like,
it's
yeah,
nice to be mentioned,
it's nice to be mentioned.
Yeah, that's we're harping on the national TV part, but the point the point I was trying to make, because I obviously have to reconfigure my wording here, is that it was specifically on David Letterman's show. When you're on a Letterman or a Leno or an Oprah, that's a pretty big deal.
Well said. Well said.
Let's be honest here. It was Friday coming off like the best 24 hours in New York ever. You would have gotten killed today if it wasn't for Letterman lashing out at Dan. So you must be psyched. That's why you were psyched about it.
Yeah, I just think that hearing that last night was.
You're saying it's a cool thing because he was mentioned on national TV. Is what you're?
No, you guys.
To recap.
Okay, we can get past the national TV part. The fact that Letterman it was on Letterman's mind to work Dan, and whether it was said in a cutesy way or a fun way or meant to be mean-spirited, I thought was cool. But we can move on from the national TV line now, I think.
Please.
All right, well, maybe we will. McLovin, did you find it was funny that the boss was annoyed since he's a major ball buster himself?
Yes. Well, yeah. But it's totally different. Like, ball busting among friends is one thing. As Dan pointed out today, he's not friends with Letterman. It's not like Dan makes fun of me and Fritzy, but he loves us on some level, makes that clear. Or will make that clear someday in the near future, I hope. But Letterman and him aren't buds. You can't ball bust a guy that you're not buds with, right? Isn't that the rule of ball busting?
I completely disagree. Actually, I don't know what segment it was, but I kind of mentioned to Dan, I go, you know, this show and you and what you do is quite a bit like what Letterman does.
Right.
You bring people here, you make them adjust to our environment. If they could play, it's great. If they don't play, they don't usually come back a lot. And when they do play around and have fun, you kind of say, hey, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and also,
he's more similar to Letterman than I don't think he can realize.
Also, something like Fritzy's headlines, like the whole idea if a joke is bad, that we make it into something funny. That's, for me, that feels stolen from Letterman in some ways.
Well, not stolen, just you have similar comedic delivery, comedic environment.
That's probably where some of the that like friction or tension. It's probably because they're so similar. But yeah, I mean, one of the things Dan does, it'll be the first time meeting somebody or the first time having them on the show, and Dan will start the interview with some kind of jab. And I mean, I'll always look at Paulie and be like, dude, you believe like the balls on this guy?
He's never spoken to this person.
He's never spoken to that person before, and he's just like, yeah, hey, looks like you really screwed up last night, or whatever it is. And it's like, dang, dude. And it feels like Letterman does the same thing with him.
I think he does. Dan has been on Dave's show numerous times. Seton, you mentioned that you felt he was disrespected last time he was on.
Well, yeah, that jab was a little uncomfortable.
How would you recap that jab?
Unfortunate. It was when he introduced Dan, which, you know, they called to have him on, so I don't really know why he would do this, but they have Dan come on, and he says you could see him on the Dan Patrick Show on Audience, and I think his line was, "What the hell is Audience? Like, and is this a joke?" And it was like, oh, well, that's not really cool to say.
I actually talked to Letterman's one of his producers after that, and he goes, I think Dave didn't know whether Audience was a show or a network, because I didn't say Audience Network, because it's technically called Audience. So on the thing it says, the Dan Patrick Show, which could be seen on Audience. And the producer said, he goes, Dave may have been confused whether Audience was a show or a network, and his nature is to jab.
And that's how you started it. So it was like, oh, okay, great. The next 7 minutes is going to be awesome.
Audience is the one thing you need to load your DVR up with. That said, well, we needed to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, so we got a hold of Sandler himself to set the record straight.
Danny, I don't know what you did to make him so upset, but he's mad at you. He's entitled to call you a stooge, and you're supposed to just laugh it off.
But Sandman, you agreed with him that I was a stooge.
Yeah.
I love so much that Adam Sandler, as he's spending 4 days basically night and day promoting a movie, has to take an extra 8 minutes to come on and mediate this non-feud between Letterman and Dan. That's how he's spending his morning. That's fantastic.
McLovin, did you find it funny that Wes Welker busted Dan's chops about the stooge comment also?
No, because Wes Welker has transformed from this quiet, productive NFL player into just like, he is a jokester. And the last few times, I think if you could chart his appearances, like he just came to play today. I wasn't surprised he dug right in. I feel like he could have been at dinner with me and Sandler and the guys the other night.
Yeah, he's been on enough where he's accepted the fact that Dan's line of questioning and the way he can word things and be cute. So he's learning to embrace that a little bit more and come out of his shell a little bit.
Well, he was a guest that made it on time. Fritzy, you had a hard time finding Stan Van Gundy for his time slot. Were you worried about DP getting even more angry since he was already in a bad mood?
Yeah, that's always a concern, even if when he's in a good mood. You don't want, we're promoting a guest and we're expecting him to come on, and no one can find him, and I'm going back and forth with the Pistons PR person, and they can't find him. So he was already a little peeved about the whole Letterman comment. So we didn't need to add on to that with our first guest of the day getting lost on us, and thankfully it eventually worked out, even though it was a segment late.
Brock, I always listen to Fritzy out of the corner of my ear to see what the status is of the guest, because I could tell usually our Fritzy's talk. And I could hear Fritzy when he finally gets Stan Van Gundy on the phone. Stan Van Gundy had no idea he was supposed to be on the Dan Patrick Show today. Fritzy was telling him for the first time, at least in a moment. I hear him goes, yes, the Dan Patrick Show. I was under the impression that the Pistons PR staff alerted you to the fact that you're supposed to be on 3 minutes ago. Yes, that is correct. We can do it now if that pleases you.
I don't hear that suggests you're making
it was very frustrating because last night I got a note saying that he's good to go, 9:20 Eastern time, and he's going to call you. He's got the hotline and everything. And then I'm trying to reach Stan because we had a number for him and they couldn't find him. And then eventually he picked it up, and as Paulie said, he had no idea that he was scheduled for the Dan Patrick Show. The PR person said, it was all good to go, and he said, I've got other interviews, I'm not going to be able to do it, and thankfully he gave us a few minutes because he realized we had been promoting it, and somehow something got miscommunicated to him.
Fritzy, was he a tentative guest or was he a booked guest?
No, he was locked in by, I think it was 9 o'clock last night or so, 9, 10 o'clock. I got a note from the director of PR of the Pistons. Good guy, we're always organized with everything, and said, yep, Stan's in, 9:20 Eastern, looking forward to it. He's in Chicago for pre-draft camp stuff. So, and then I clarified, okay, 9:20 Eastern, 8:20 Central, because sometimes time zones get messed up, so I didn't want that to be a factor. I was calling an hour earlier.
Okay, let's take a break. Up next, we'll get a lesson on the art of keeping your mouth shut, and superfan Fritzy leaves one Broncos player speechless. Come on back. Welcome back to the Box Score. The boss received a lot of backlash this week as he gave away a little too much info on the Breaking Bad finale. So much so that we had John Hine of the Howard Stern Show to teach Dan the rules of the spoiler. Seton, do you think Dan learned his lesson?
Not at all. No, if anything, he's probably looking forward to spoiling more things. I can almost guarantee that.
Just curious, guys, what were your top 3 sitcoms or dramas growing up? Fritzy, let's start with you.
Loved All in the Family, Honeymooners, I thought was great. Twilight Zone, I know some of those were mentioned between Dan and John earlier today. Just if I had to pick a few, I'd say those would be among my favorite ones for sure.
Well, you say growing up, I remember the first shows I loved were Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere, which is really dorky. I was a huge MASH fan. I like What's Happening a lot.
MASH was the first one I got into really early, even as a kid. I liked the first couple years of Happy Days, and it got really bad, which Jump the Shark comes from how bad Happy Days got. I was the same way. Hill Street Blues was really big for me. I think that was the first one my family let me watch that was a little racy. Love Sipowicz, who was back then was, Dennis Franz was another character, but he was kind of cool on that show too.
For me, TV pretty much started and ended with Dukes of Hazzard. It never got any better than that, and it might as well you just shut it all down after that because sitcom television has never been as good.
I thought there was something sexy about Flo from Alice. That was, had an eerie attraction to her for some reason.
Yeah, nothing like a woman with big earrings dragging a bunch of guys with a diner back to her trailer all the time. Well, apparently one of you is still clueless about the art of keeping your mouth shut, as Dan was telling you guys about his recent celebrity sightings.
You guys ready for these now, or you want me to wait till after Wes Welker?
One now, one after Wes.
Okay. Nene Leakes of Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm in the... Well, no, okay, maybe not that famous for you guys.
Who?
Yes, McLovin.
That's the celebrity site. The Kardashians were all over New York.
That was mine. Okay, there you go. You just ruined the tease. The Kardashians were at the same hotel.
Oh, I am so sorry.
Yes.
You guys probably didn't even notice it because I didn't say much today, but I think it's the allergies or something. My head was really foggy today. Maybe it's a New York City hangover. I completely misunderstood what was going on. Because he said multiple sightings, so I consider Kim and Khloe 2 sightings. So I thought that the multiple sightings were the Real Housewives. I thought
Instead of saying I just screwed up and blew the bit.
This excuse you're trying to make up makes it...
No, I blew the bit. I was very clear about that. It was pretty obvious I blew up that bit.
What wasn't in that clip was Dan saying, McLovin, you had said that, there were sisters out last night, and he was like, don't say anything.
Right, and
that was sort of the clue, like you're on the right track.
So I'm going to blame Dan. I'm going to blame Dan because he spent too much time on The Real Housewife of Atlanta, and I got confused.
Yeah, that was kind of
As if the boss couldn't get any more upset today, Fritzy prepped Dan for Wes Welker's interview and apparently provided some info that surprised the Broncos receiver.
What's the rallying cry? It's 35. Is that a rallying cry?
What do you mean?
I don't know. I thought that there was a rallying cry for Fritzy.
Yes.
What's the rallying cry for the Broncos?
That they've been practicing and using the number 35 as a rallying cry to get pumped for the season because of the deficit that they lost by.
Okay. Is that true?
I am unaware of this.
Fritzy, thanks for ruining the interview.
I apologize. I will check my research. I wouldn't have made that up off the top of my head. Yeah, that kind of put the interview to a screeching, unfortunate halt there. That was not my intention. I read a number of articles that referred to this big rallying cry, how they're going to put the Seahawks Super Bowl devastation behind them, and they're all in camp together and trying to get past things, and the number 35, losing 43-8, was going to get them all pumped up to make sure something like that never happens again, and one of their top players is clueless to this whole rallying cry.
I thought that was a little unfair by Dan towards Fritzy because he only really ruined the second half of the interview. The first half was pretty good.
I actually am going to support Fritzy on this, okay? Just because Wes Welker wasn't aware that was going on doesn't mean it wasn't happening. I have a feeling Wes Welker's the kind of guy that there might be a lot of stuff going around him that he's not necessarily picking up on.
Well, Fritzy had an interesting theory. Wes might be messing with Fritzy a little bit. He seems like a little bit of. Do you think Wes knew about this?
It didn't happen.
He either didn't know, which, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he wasn't aware of it somehow, or forgot because of concussions or whatever is his situation.
Wow.
Or he just, there are times when, for whatever reason, we may have something factually correct, and there have been many guests.
I like that that's fourth on your list of possibilities that we may have had something factually correct. That concussion syndrome is more likely than us having our information wrong.
We all know that there's guests that don't want to talk about certain topics for whatever reason, and it's just easy to say, I don't know what you're talking about, or I'm not aware of that, and this way there's no follow-up questions and they don't have to get more involved with it.
McLovin, as the NFL insider, could Fritzy have just made that up along with other Broncos fans because they just had their ass handed to them in the Super Bowl?
I honestly think, three Broncos could have formed a circle around Wes Welker and chanted 35 for half an hour, and he wouldn't have even he had some strange answers throughout the whole interview. I'm not sure if he was messing with us or what was going on.
That's a tough accusation. Fritzopedia does not make up stuff. He definitely is this reason.
Why would they make up a story that they were chanting 35? It's just so lame anyway. It's not even that great a question or story.
Two things, though. I have given Dan misinformation on more than one occasion, and all of us, whenever we've been in that situation, we feel bad about that. And two, we've had Wes on a number of times and has had some very strange, awkward responses to questions. So
all that being said, that was kind of my favorite part of the interview when basically Dan and Wes teamed up on Fritzy. We were dying. It was really funny.
Just when you thought all hope was lost to cheer Dan up, you guys turned to something that never fails: Boogers.
Let it go. Go.
That's not from the movie, right? That's not from the movie.
And I'm right, like that, let it go.
A left nostril, let it go.
Oh, man.
That's not nice.
It's not very nice at all. It's cracking up.
And there it is. Brock, I'm going to jump in here.
Please do.
I saw these two goofballs laughing about it, and I purposely didn't look because it was their moment. They're having fun over there with a video. And so they said, I hear Dan come running over and tell Two-Days, get this for the looking, get this for looking, which Dan has never done ever in the history of the show. And I was like, well, this must be really good. And I said to Dan and Seton, do I want to see this before it goes on air? And Dan goes, no, it's good to go. And Seton goes, maybe. So I was like, I'm distancing myself.
Oh, man.
So nasty.
Fritzy, get that kid a towel, please. Let's clean him up. Coming up, it's time to look back on the week that was on the DP show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Box Score. It's Friday and we're ready to wrap up the week on the DP show. You guys had a week chock full of guests, so let's see how memorable they were in your minds. Time to play another edition of...
Yo! Yo!
Show? What? Let's start with the front row. Norm Macdonald joined the show Wednesday and told a story about Bill Cosby calling his dad. Where did he say his dad lived?
Yeah, his dad was there. Where the hell was that? Alaska or something?
No, I know what it is.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Ohio.
No.
America.
Do we get to steal?
Oh, wait a minute. No, he's kind of got a Canada. He's from Canada.
Canada.
No. Well, yes, but no.
Was it the entire country of Canada?
I met Bill Cosby as my hero and stuff. So I said, when I was young, you were my favorite comic, and I listened to you with my dad. He goes, "Where do you live?" I go, "Well, my dad lives in Ottawa,
Good job. It was Ottawa specifically. And there was no stealing in this game, just as a reminder.
Yeah,
Back row, earlier this week,
Except for
Dan
Canada.
told us about the time he interviewed O.J. Simpson. Which state did the interview take place?
I think I set that one up. I'm going to say Florida. I think they sat down probably somewhere in Miami for that interview.
Was it Florida?
City?
I think the trial was 95-ish, and I think it was 02, 03 when you sat down with him.
We were in Florida, but I do remember my camera people saying, we're not going to shake his hand. I said, you don't have to.
Yes, you are correct. It was Florida. Do you think I did it? Yes. Front row. John Smoltz was on yesterday and told Dan this particular product helped him on the mound. What was it?
Bullfrog sunscreen.
Was it Bullfrog sunscreen?
What about pine tongue? Is that cheating?
I guess according to the rules it is.
Did it help you?
Did it help me? You know what helped me? Was Bullfrog suntan spray.
Good job, guys.
We'll never
Back row, Dan said he didn't think Rams head coach Jeff Fisher would give Michael Sam a token roster spot because he once cut this player from his roster in Tennessee.
Oh, I got this.
Jared Payton.
Was it Jared Payton?
You don't want him to get, a token roster spot. I think Fisher cut Walter Payton's son. Okay, was he with Tennessee at the time, Paulie?
Yep.
Okay, so Jared Payton was cut.
Good job, back row. Front row up again. Teddy Bridgewater joined the show Monday and said he would be wearing what number as a member of the Vikings? Paulie says it's a handful. Is it 5?
Look at me now. I'm a Minnesota Viking.
He's Teddy Bridgewater, Theodore Bridgewater, joining us in the Dan Patrick Show. What number are you going to have with Minnesota?
I'm going to continue to wear number 5.
I like that.
Good job, guys. And finally, the back row. Adam Sandler told us a story about meeting Bruce Springsteen at the gym. What did the boss think his name was?
Go ahead.
We're going to go Alan Stanley.
As we roll this tape, listen to Fritzy's laugh after Sandler's answer. Was it Alan Stanley?
I was at a gym. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Bruce Springsteen. So he's doing the pecs. And I walk up to him and I go, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Hey." And I go, and he goes, "I know who you are. You're Alan Stanley." I swear to God.
Hey! Wow. Fritzy, what was with that laugh? Can we hear that again?
I don't know. I just thought that was very funny. I wasn't expecting that, and that was good.
Is that the last thing women heard before they disappeared from your dorm room in college, Fritzy?
Pretty much. That's pretty much what did it. And no return calls after that.
You hear the laugh, then the van doors closed.
When you say dorm room, you mean his mother's apartment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, more specifically. What's with all the plastic?
Size 14.
Oh, wait a minute. Put the lotion in the basket. There's more just around the corner as we wrap up things on the box score. Stick around. Welcome back to the box score. Lakers back in the news today as the question came up whether or not Mitch Kupchak should consult Kobe when hiring a new coach. Paulie, what if Dan quit and DirecTV told you guys you would have no input on the new host and they hired a guy like Chris Berman?
I think we wouldn't even wait to find out who they hired. If we had no input on the new host, I don't think any of us would stick around.
Well, hopefully Dan doesn't quit, but from the sound of today's boss's thoughts, it doesn't sound like he's going to have a great weekend.
I'm fine. I put 30 years in this business, work hard, late, win awards, sacrifice, self-deprecating sense of humor, laugh at myself, just like the next guy would. No, I'm all right. Sure, take your shot. I guess I'm Adam Sandler's stooge. I'm all right.
See, I think Dan is so big in the community that he thinks this way about something that he should possibly take as a positive. It reminds me of a time, we haven't been on a lot of private jets. When I say not a lot, I mean one. NBC lets us use a private jet for an event with Dan and the guys from the higher-ups from NBC. We got pushed to the back of the private jet, that's the biggest complaint of my life, yeah? And then Bob Costas walked back, made fun of us for 5 minutes, then walked back to the front. We thought it was one of the greatest 5 minutes of our life. Bob Costas making fun of us on a private jet. We looked at that as a good day.
I had no idea that, the back lounge. You plebeians. I don't know. Yeah, this is awesome, dude. I'm on the same plane you are, bro. This is rad. I don't need to sit up front, man. I'll chill back here.
If this goes down, it's not like that front of the plane is going to be all good and our back, we're in trouble.
Well, let's hear it from the man who joined the Solo Mile High Club. Fritzy, who's on next week?
Jeremy Roenick's going to join us in the Milford Man Cave on Monday. Reggie Miller will join us during the week. Wendy McClendon-Covey of Blended, and she plays the mom on the Goldbergs. That will be among who will be joining us next week.
Seton, you concerned about Roenick?
Not at all, man. He don't want any of this.
He would not like any of this.
Guard yourself, Roenick. Thanks for watching The Box Score. Set your DVR or tune in weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, only on Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV.
I don't know a lot about sports, but I can drink a lot of beer. My motto is simple. C's get degrees.
Need a long, inappropriate hug? I'm your man.
I think I'm smarter than you, because I probably am.
Hey, thanks for watching The Box Score. Holy cow!